Well, it sure looks like there is no love lost between former Skid Row frontman Sebastian Bach and Falling in Reverse frontman Ronnie Radke. In a recent interview, Sebastian Bach was asked about Ronnie and whether or not they could ever patch up this contentious feud they had a couple years ago, and he just proceeded to go in on him again. And he also says that he doesn't even really know who he is, which is kind of wild. Ronnie is making huge waves in rock and metal right now. His recent single, Ronald, already has over 10 million views in just a few weeks, which is crazy for anybody in rock to be putting up those kind of numbers, and the videos are incredible. And in just a few hours, he's got a brand new single out called All My Life, an amazing video that features one of the biggest stars in music, none other than Jelly Roll. It's a really cool video and really cool song. You should check that out as well. And for Sebastian Bach, he recently released his first new solo album in about a decade, called Child Within the Man. And as we told you yesterday, there had been rumblings about maybe Sebastian returning to Skid Row in the wake of the departure of their vocalist Eric Grönwald, but those dreams are probably crushed after the onstage rant that Bach recently went on. He has clarified and said at least one of the shirts he mentioned in the crowd during that rant was actually to a previous band that he says he was kicked out of. But needless to say, here is a little bit of background on why Ronnie and Sebastian don't get along. What happened is a couple of years ago, Falling in Reverse canceled a festival performance, and they said that the reason was because a couple of laptops they had went missing. And there were a lot of particularly older musicians who were mocking Ronnie over that. If you listen to Falling in Reverse's music, their music has a lot of electronic elements, their samples and their timing. It's just, what you need to know is that 98% of all of your favorite bands in some way incorporate laptops into their live production, whether it's synchronizing their video walls. There's a lot of technology that comes into performances. It doesn't mean that they're lip syncing just because they rely on laptops to run their live show. But either way, it led to a lot of people bashing Ronnie at the time, and never mind the fact that so many people do use laptops for their live show. The overwhelming majority do. That is a fact. I've seen that firsthand, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's normal. It doesn't mean they're not legit. It doesn't mean that they're not playing. It just means it's how they organize their shows. And, there are some people who do use backing tracks. There are people who rely way too much on computers. There are people who maybe are lip syncing as well. I don't agree with any of that, but that's not what's happening. I've seen Falling in Reverse live numerous times. Ronnie is not lip syncing. That's just the bottom line. He's not lip syncing up there. And so this is, though, a little bit of background on what was said, what led to that, and then where we're at today, which is that this feud has seemingly been reignited from that interview that Sebastian Bach gave. But it really got started, to be clear, with Bach trashing Ronnie over the laptop thing. And then Ronnie, as he does, if you want to trash him, he's going to bring it to you. And that's what happened here. Check it out. So this is from back in 2022 when all of this kind of kicked off. And as I mentioned, it started with Bach and some others bashing Ronnie over the laptop situation, which was kind of blown out of proportion, in my opinion. The laptop issue, because so many people use laptops. To me, it's textbook conflating between lip syncing. When people hear laptops, they automatically assume that the artist is lip syncing, but that is not the case. There's so many other reasons that a band could be reliant on laptops. And in the case of Falling in Reverse, they have a lot of hip hop elements to their music. And so people will go, oh, you should be able to perform your show without laptops in every case. And I would suggest that if you're an artist who is rapping at like 200 BPM, that's not going to sound good acoustic. It's just the way it is. Anyhow, Sebastian Bach and Falling in Reverse's Ronnie Radke feud over the use of pre-recorded tracks. Really, it's over the use of laptops, in my opinion. But Bach said, watch what happens when track bands call real musicians idiots, which he was kind of implying that he was going to like maybe fight Ronnie, it seemed at the time. And, look, Bach talks a lot of shit. Ronnie talks a lot of shit. These are rock stars, and this is just kind of back and forth here, and this is what happened. So as they pointed out here, it all started when Falling dropped off the Will Rock Festival after losing their laptops. Ronnie said, as a band in 2022, you need your laptops. It's like driving a car without an engine, and he's just being honest. And continues, it says, those comments incited veteran radio personality and backing track critic Eddie Trunk. Eddie feels very strongly, I'm sure it's coming from a good place, he feels very strongly about wanting rock to be as pure and organic as possible. I understand where he's coming from, but I would also suggest that we are going to hold the genre back if we don't adapt with the times. And you go to every other show and their productions have all these special effects. And you know, I just think that the reality is we live in a different time. But, you know, he feels very strongly about this. So he said, how much longer are fans, promoters, and media just going to accept the epidemic of live rock shows not really being live? But, you know, again, the truth of the matter is that he is performing live. He is singing his vocals live. I know a lot of these guys, they are all real players, and the idea that they're not playing live just simply is not true. Now, do they have synths in the background? Do they have like a trap beat going at times? I'm sure they do. Does that mean that they're not legit musicians? No, it doesn't. It's just different. Now, Ronnie was pissed about this at the time. He said, Eddie, so you want to talk hella shit about laptops, but go watch Kiss lip sync. Steven Tyler plays the piano. Halfway through the song, he stands up while the piano still plays. Yet here we are acting like they don't use tracks, you effing idiot, literal moron. And it says the Falling in Reverse singer also shared a video of Trunk introducing a solo performance by Bach, in which it appears fake crowd noise plays as he walks out to the stage. He says, both idiots talking shit about me using tracks. Can't make this up. Bach fired back saying, wow, dummy, are you trying to say that you believe that I use tracks on stage? At Eddie Trunk, how effing funny is this? Watch what happens when track bands call real musicians idiots. Ronnie replied to that quick. He said, the F is your bitch ass gonna do? You disrespect an entire generation of people after you that use synth laptops and backing tracks, all while using a fake audience on a track as you walk out. You and Eddie Trunk's bitch ass. Bach responded, it's always so much fun to show someone what the world was like before the internet existed. Get effing ready. Virtual reality is so much fun until you have to deal with the actual reality in your face. Can't wait to meet you in person. Name the time and place and I will introduce you to rock and roll in person, man. Again, it's an entertaining response, but I have very low confidence that Bach at this point is going to beat up Ronnie. Very different generations. Ronnie is in very good shape. So now here is this recent interview where a fan asked Bach about whether or not he and Ronnie are going to patch things up. And hilariously in the interview, Bach claims that he's never even heard of Ronnie and he just found out about him from the internet, which is pretty much these days about how 95% of people discover new artists. But this is what he had to say in that interview. And he also, by the way, I just want to say, he also once again disses Chris Jericho, which Jericho hasn't, to my knowledge, hasn't done anything to anybody. I could see Bach maybe being mad at Ronnie because they had that exchange and, you know, whatever. But I can, at the same time, Jericho doesn't seem to want to be like dissing Bach at all. And he just continues to dump on him. And I don't understand it, but here it is. So this is a recent fan Q&A conducted by Louder Sound. They do great work over there. And this is the question. Would you ever make peace with Ronnie Radke? To which Bach responded, and this is a hilarious response to me. He says, I don't know who that is, which it's just, you're in rock, you're in metal, you're very informed on the space. You pay attention to the space. Just say, I don't like the guy. You know who he is. He's organically reaching millions of people, just as you have. I mean, I would be shocked if a musician said they don't know who Sebastian Bach is. He's accomplished so much over the course of his career. But look, this is what he's got to say. You know, they're in a beef. He goes, I don't know who that is. The only way I know that name is from the internet. So they might as well be a Republican politician or a reality TV show star, which is interesting because Bach has done reality TV. He says, or YouTuber. And, you know, come on now. YouTube. It's amazing. It's the new television, baby. It's YouTube. Don't be putting us down. No, it doesn't bother me. He goes, whatever opinion someone has on the internet, for me to give a shit, I would have to respect their music first. And I have never heard one note of that band. The only reason I know them is because they seem to love their computers more than real rock and roll. Again, this is all really subjective when you say that they love their laptops more than real rock and roll. Any major band is going to have some component of laptops or computer systems involved in their show. So that is what Bach had to say. But I also want to show a little bit about what he said about Chris Jericho. So this fan said, will you ever do a sing-off with Chris Jericho? He said the better question would be, will he do a wrestle-off with Sebastian Bach? Because I'm as much of a wrestler as he is a singer. So he is really putting down Jericho's vocal talent, which is interesting though, because Fozzy, they've had a lot of success on the charts. They've got a new single out right now, a brand new single out that's done well. I've seen them live, and it's just like Chris Jericho's a legend, man, and he loves metal, and his band has been successful over the years. So I don't know. It seems like there's no love lost here between these two. And again, Bach has new music out. Falling in Reverse has new music out. Of course, Popular Monster record is coming out. The Popular Monster 2 World Domination is happening soon as well. So there's a lot going on with all of these individuals, but unfortunately, we probably won't be seeing them touring together anytime soon. So anyways, that is your latest update here from Feud. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on the latest news and updates.